Find 5 people, give them a high five, and tell them you freaking rock. Don't be sissies here. I will come find you. I'm watching. All right, you can sit down. I like that you're still dancing over here. I like you ladies. You're doing good. So, just real quick, I want to say thanks to Doug for doing this, for inviting me to be a part of it, and being able to be part of this. Literally, Doug and I met for the first time in person today, read his book, met his wife months back, and from the get-go, I was like, oh my goodness, these are my people. It's just when you connect with people. We sat down for lunch, Corey and Doug and I today, and it's so fun to sit down and to be able to sync up so fast with people because the like-mindedness. And so I honor you, Doug, and I thank you for this, and he is the real freaking deal. If you didn't buy his book yet, buy his book tonight. And then Corey, just grateful for our friendship. It's been, I don't know, a year ago when Corey and I connected literally through Facebook for the first time, had lunch over here at the summit, said, hey, I do this mastermind thing. You want to be part of it? He said yes, and because of that friendship. I knew, the first time we met, I was like, there's purpose attached to this friendship. So thanks, Corey, for being amazing. Okay, so enough of all that. How many of you want massive momentum in your life? Now, see, she felt it a little bit more because she said yes. And you were doing good. Following proper protocol here. How many of you want massive momentum in your life? Yes. Okay, so do you want massive momentum in just one area? How many want it in your finances? Say yes. Do you want massive momentum in your relationships, your marriage? Say yes. Would you like it in your health? Would you like it in your spiritual life? Yes. Now, how many have massive momentum in every area of your life that we just named off? Nope. Well, that was like pure pin drop there. How many of you have experienced some negative momentum in your life where you're going the wrong direction fast? They were like, is somebody else going to say yes? I don't want to say yes too loud. And you may go to some events or you may jump online like Doug was talking about, and you may see people's perfect life. And you may show up to some events and they're going to tell you stories about their success and about how they conquered the world and they have all the answers. Lucky for you, this is not one of those events. Because we've all got wounds, we've all got scars, we've all got a journey that led us to the point where we're at. And so when it comes to massive negative momentum, you guys have experienced that. How many know maybe you have just a friend, that's experiencing some negative momentum right now in their life? Not you, of course, just anybody? Yeah. And, for me, I've experienced that negative momentum in my life in a whole lot of areas. I remember, has anybody got negative momentum when it came to, no, I'm not even going to ask you to answer that. I'll just tell you my story. Negative momentum when it came to my own self-worth. Being desperate for the acceptance of other people. It started young for me. I was a chubby middle schooler. Wouldn't take my shirt off at the pool because of the rolls. None of you know what I'm talking about. Nobody's helping a brother out here. But I was insecure. I was awkward. I didn't feel like I mattered. I had an identical twin brother, still do. But back then, I felt like I was living in my brother's shadow. He was smarter than me. He was more athletic. He was more socially accepted. And because of that, I always was trying to prove myself. And to my family, my friends, school, church, everywhere. And I got this little lie in my head that I wasn't enough. And how many know no matter what I tried, no matter what I did, was it ever enough? Yes or no? Nope. It wasn't. And so talk about negative momentum. When you grow up and that's the state of mind that you're living in, it was difficult. It was painful. I've had other negative momentum. How many married in the room? Just give me a shout. Give woohoo! No, I was going to say something, but I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there. marriage, right? It's awesome, isn't it? It's the best thing ever. And yet, negative. If you're with your spouse, tell them they never need to amen that. Yes. Sorry, Austin. Negative momentum. I remember when my wife looked at me and she said, yeah, I don't know if I want to be married to you anymore. And she'd been trying to get me to go to marriage counseling for about 2 years. And I was like, we got this, babe. You work on you, I'll work on me. Let's get a devotional. Let's do a couples devotional. Let's pray about it. Like, we got this, babe. We can do this. And then she said, I don't know if I want to be married to you. And I was like, how about we do marriage counseling? And we got into marriage counseling real quick. Highly recommend. Like, here's what I recommend. Preventive marriage counseling. And coaching, I like the differentiation Doug made. Like, don't just go around the circle. Change, move forward, make progress. We had some negative momentum. There was a time in our marriage where we got all adult ears in here. We didn't have sex for 12 months. 12 months. All you brothers are like, man, pray for him. And that was not an easy season right there. We had just negative momentum in so many ways. And so, like, we had to make a lot of decisions along the way. How about finances? Anybody experienced once in your life, that one time, negative momentum in the finances? Just give me an I. Some of you were not being loud enough on that one. I will never forget waking up one morning and walking out into my driveway to get in my car. But my car wasn't there. And I looked on the driveway and could see the scrapes where the repossession tow truck had pulled it out of my driveway. You don't really ever forget that, do you? I remember on a Saturday night, not even 6 years ago, because we're keeping this real, right? You all going to be open to learn. I'm going to be open to share. Because, listen, if you want to change your life, you got to be vulnerable. If you acting like you got it all together, I have 2 words of wisdom for you. This is deep. You're going to want to write this down. Stop it! Stop it, okay? You're not perfect. You got issues. Look at somebody right now and say, you got issues. Stop hiding them. You got to confront the beast, right? You're hiding it. You're ashamed of it. You're not talking about it, right? But when we talk and we get vulnerable, listen, your story is the greatest tool, the most powerful tool you have to bring transformation to someone else's life. So stop holding that in and not sharing it with anybody. So I remember the night on a Saturday night, and I knock at the door, and I go to the door, and it is the local constable serving us with foreclosure papers. Now, that's bad. What's worse is when your wife doesn't know that you were behind. Whew. Like, that's some real negative momentum. Does anybody here know what I'm talking about, or you guys had perfect lives? And so when you're dealing with real stuff, and you're dealing with stuff in your life that sometimes it feels beyond your control, right? Has anybody been there where you're like, man, I just don't have the answers. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I can do, because that negative momentum, those difficult things, it sucks. Like, it's painful. It leaves scars. It creates shame. It causes us to believe the lie that we're all alone and that nobody else can understand what we're going through, right? And so I love the way Doug talks about it in the book. He says, am I going to get this right? Your pain is where you were meant to reign. Is that right?
Your place of pain becomes
your place of pain becomes your place of reign. Like, don't wallow around in that junk. Step up on top of it. Put it in its place and say, no, I was made to walk on this. I was made to take authority over this. And so that's what happened for me. Like, all those different moments in my life, all that pain, all those wounds. I mean, I just gave you a few. I could give you a whole list of things. We had 2 miscarriages when we were wanting to start our family. And instead of having kids, we had 2 miscarriages back to back. What do you do with that kind of pain? How do you explain those things? How do you find purpose in that? Well, you can only find purpose by saying, you know what? If I went through that, there's a greater purpose attached to it. Whether you're a Christian or not, like my personal belief, God, he didn't make the bad stuff happen to you. My theology is real simple. God's good, the devil's bad. But like there is good things that come out of everything negative in your life if you look for it. But if you're going to do that, you have to get to a place where you understand how it's happening. So for me, all that pain gave me clarity about my mission in life. And I identified my enemy. Does anybody know who your enemy is in life? You're like, what am I talking about? Like when you know who your enemy is, I mean, every great movie. I mean, the Rocky movies, like David and Goliath. I mean, every great story, there's a villain, there's a hero, right? And so when you find out who so I identified my enemy, and this is what it was. And I identified my enemy because it's where I was living for so many years. And my enemy was powerlessness. My enemy was wasted potential in every form. So if you get around me and you try to act powerless, you try to play the victim, don't even, because I won't let it hang out around me. If you get around me and I see the potential in you, and you're not willing to take steps and live into it, get ready, because I will grab you, and I will shake you until you grab hold of that potential. Because that's my mission in life, and I got clarity about that. So what I learned through all that pain is that, here's what I learned. In every single instance of my life, I have the power to choose. And therefore, I have the power to change. Point one of his, decision, right? I'm going to push in hard on your power to choose, your power to change. Because no matter what's happening in your life, you always have that ability. You always have that ability to choose and therefore to change. I'll push in a little differently on that, but here's my mission in life. You ready? My mission is to help people take back their power. Take it back. I need your participation because we're not going to be passive in our learning, right? Some of you people that hang out with me more, you know this, but like I need you to put your hands over your head like this. Open hands like this. And there's a motion that goes with this. So your hands are going to be up like this. And then you're going to pull them down and you're going to say, take it back. Take it back. That's all right. You need more energy. Everybody stand up quickly. That was the slowest quick stand up ever. Put your hands over your head. On the count of three, pull it down and say, take it back. 1, 2, 3, take it back. Look at somebody, point at them, and on the count of three, say, take it back. Look at that other person you just ignored. On the other side, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. One more time for yourself. Put your hands over your head and say, take it back. Did that feel good? Yeah, because when you're just sitting there listening, that's the state you're in. It's going to be attached to what you're learning. How many of you feel kind of certain and powerful and a bit able right now? Because you put yourself in that state. You can sit down. So my goal is to help you take it back. So can I just lay a couple quick things here, and I want to close out with like 3 real practical things to help you do this. Number 1, your circumstances do not determine your power. That's worth taking notes on. Your circumstances do not determine your power. But what if there's things beyond my control? No. Your circumstances do not determine your power because your circumstances can never remove your ability to choose. There's a great book by a guy named Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge. Highly recommend it. Anybody read it? Great book. And in it, he talks about something called the success curve and the failure curve. Usually I draw this up, but I'm just going to tell it to you. The success curve and the failure curve. Imagine 2 lines going straight like this in parallel. Y'all watching? And then they go like this. Success curve, failure curve. And there's only one difference between living your life on the success curve or the failure curve. Doug talks about it in the book as living above the line or below the line. Same concept, just a little bit different language. The success curve, what do you think the mindset, the attitude of the success curve is? In one word, what do you think it is? Abundance, good, but not. Positive, choice. Taking responsibility. So choice, yes, but the word would be responsibility. Doug said it earlier, personal responsibility. You want to live on the success curve, you must take personal responsibility. All right, one word for the failure curve. What's the mindset? Victim, blame, pointing fingers, saying it's not my fault, it's his fault. It's not my fault, it's her fault. It's my history's fault, but I'm not going to take personal responsibility. So here's the big question. For you people that hang out with me and know the answer to this, please do not answer. Let's give the new people a chance here. What do you think the percentage of people, generally in society, that live on the success curve versus the failure curve? 50-50, 64, what do you think it is? 5%, 25%, 10, 28. Who picked 28? Somebody that's good on math, okay. The actual percentage, 5%. 5% of people, she's on a roll. Wait, you read the book, that's cheating. She lives in a 5% world. I like it, I like her. 5% of people in general society are going to take full responsibility, take back their power, and create a life they live. They're going to be people that live on purpose, that create massive momentum in their life because they're living on purpose, right? 5%. How many think when you graze is actually an appropriate word, I think, graze through Facebook or Instagram, that 5% rings pretty true, that 95% of people are living in the failure curve, blaming, pointing fingers, and not taking responsibility. So just a quick question, help me locate my audience here. How many of you want to live, do you want to live on the success curve or the failure curve? Which one? I'm going to need the Baptists in the black 2 rows. I'm calling him out only because he said we're Baptists and we sit in the back 2 rows. So do you want to live on the success curve or the failure curve? Success, there we go. And that's a choice. It is a decision that only you can make. But if you sit back and you wait for somebody else to choose for you, if you wait for somebody else to make it happen, if you wait, some of you waiting for God to drop it out of heaven, waiting on your miracle. I read somewhere it says faith without works is what? Is dead. You got a bunch of people walking around in churches saying, God's going to bring my miracle. And he gave you a miracle. He told you what to do, and you're sitting on your rear end not doing anything. I got one amen from my wife. I'm married up. That's what I'm talking about. What sets the difference between the success curve and the failure curve is your ability to choose. Now listen, I am not diminishing the difficulty of your circumstances. I mean, there's some hard stories represented in this room. There's stories of abuse, there's stories of rape, there's stories of dysfunctional families, extreme poverty, illness, death, loss. I'm not diminishing the realness of your stories. Some of you, your marriage is on a thread tonight. I'm not diminishing that. But here would be my challenge to you. Do not tell me what happened to you. Tell me how you're going to respond. Are some things beyond your control? Yes. But you know what is never beyond your control is how you are going to respond. The choice you will make. I've sat in hospital rooms with a guy that went into the hospital for a fever, ended up dying of leukemia like 14 months later. While he was in his hospital, his 3rd child was born. And he barely got out of the hospital. And I stood in that hospital room and watched his wife by his bedside raise her hands and praise God. I sat in that room, and when the doctors were saying, we're not sure he's going to make it, he's pulling me in and saying, hey, so we're ready to start our ministry and help other people that are going through fighting cancer. We want to help them and give them hope. So I don't know what you have going on, but I'm telling you, you still have the power to choose. Look at somebody, you say, you have the power to choose. And that's where we get to define our lives. That's where we get to say, you know what? I'm not going to stay where I'm at. Because your business, we got a bunch of health coaches in here. How many health coaches in here? How many business owners in here? How many people breathing in here? All right. Do you know what's going to define the course of your life? Your decisions. You are the sum total of every decision you ever make. Your business is where it's at because of your choices. Your marriage is where it's at because of your choices. Your health is where it's at because of your choices. The impact that you're having on other people is where it's at because of your choices. Parents, the relationship you have with your kids, it's the way it is because of what? Your choices. So it doesn't matter what someone else does. It matters what I choose to do. And so for me, I've made lots of mistakes. I've paid the stupid tax more times than I'd like to admit. All those negative momentum things in my life, was it somebody else's fault that I got served with foreclosure papers? Was it someone else or mine? It's mine. Car getting towed away? My fault? Yeah. Me being a chubby middle schooler? I don't know. That might be mom and dad's fault. We won't, they're not here to defend themselves. My marriage? I could have listened to my wife 2 years earlier, and I never would have had to have her look at me and the pain of hearing her say, I don't know if I want to be married to you anymore. But with every single one of those instances, I've learned the hard way that I still have the power to choose. And today, I'm not where I want to be. But can I just tell you, I'm not where I was. I'm not going back either. I'm not going back. Some of you have been rehearsing the negative circumstances, the bad stuff that has happened, the poor deck that's been dealt to you, the poor hand that's been dealt to you. You've been rehearsing that story so much, it's more real to you than anything else. Like Doug was saying, unsuccessful people, they know what they don't want. Successful people, they know what they do want. Unsuccessful people can look at something and say, yep, I don't want that. Successful people, they got their eyes on the prize. They're looking and focused on where they're going. And so that's my challenge to you. Like, shift your focus. Everybody say, take it back. That was sissy. Everybody say, take it back!
Take it back.
Would you mind if I just take about 5-7 more minutes here and give you 3 decisions that I made over the course of this that really shifted the momentum, that helped me take back my power? Like, I want to give you practical things that you can take away and apply. So let me tell you 3 things real quick. Number 1, choice that I made, take back my power. Number 1 choice was I decided to level up my habits. We all got habits, right? How many got some habits that you're pretty sure they're not serving you? Yeah, you know they're not. Like, we all got some bad habits. We got bad habits of communication in our relationships. We got bad habits with some eating. I mean, I never did that whole thing of eating tacos, Doug. I mean, who would ever do that? But occasionally my wife may find a candy bar wrapper in the side compartment of the door and be like, where'd this come from? Reese's Pieces. In the Reese peanut butter, that's my weak spot. So we're all like a work, but like we've got to say, you know what, I'm going to create some new habits. I'm going to create some new habits that will get new results in my life. How many want some new results in your life? Yes? So you got to create some new habits. Let me just tell you 3 real quick. Number 1 habit that I created, I started listening to more good content. I started to take in as much good content as I could take in. How many of you haven't read a book since high school or college? Come on, it's a safe place. We're all safe here. Good. Yeah, see, that's honest. You're going to change that starting tonight. Look, I made it easy for you. You don't even have to, like, pray or wonder, like, what should I, you're going to start reading some books tonight. Just make a decision, right? But I will tell you, when I was in that funk, after the foreclosure, after all the marriage, and finally getting through some of that and starting to get on a recovery, I made one decision. I connected with a new guy, and I started reading some books that he recommended. The first year I read 7 books. I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. I started thinking differently. I started learning some stuff. The next year I read 18 books. I was like, wow, I'm feeling some momentum. I read 18 books. I was listening to podcasts. By the way, the best cheat in the entire world for reading books is called Audible, people. Audible. How many of you drive a car? You have a commute? That needs to become your university from this day forward. Listen to Audible books. The third year and the fourth year, I read like 37, 38 books. My goal was I want to become an endless reservoir for other people. When they have a need, I want to be able to give them something. But it wouldn't have happened unless I started upping my habits. And I created a habit. Like you can ask anybody on the team or that's around me, like when I walk into the office, I've got earbuds in because 9 times out of 10, I'm listening to something. I mean, my wife, I'm cleaning, I'm folding laundry, I'm listening to something. If I'm driving, I'm listening to something because I want to level up my habits, and that's one that every one of you in this room can do. I can't afford a coach. I can't afford a mastermind. Just level up your habits, start listening to some good stuff. And free stuff on podcasts all over the place, right? So level up your habits, reading, level up your habits through, anybody journal in here? I'm just going to tell you, if you don't journal, it is the number one habit that's transformed my life more than anything in my entire life. For those of you that are Christians, because I am, I'm just going to tell you, more than church attendance, more than Bible studies, more than listening to praise and worship, because all of it comes together for me in journaling. For 20 years, I've been doing that. It's the one thing that God's used to shape me more than anything. It's the one thing that God's used to help me grow my business, grow my family, all that kind of stuff. Journaling is a great tool. 15 minutes a day, that's all you need. And I'll give you one more, a morning routine. If you wake up in the morning and you get in a flow, there's 2 books I'll recommend to you. Number 1 is called The Miracle Morning. Number 2 is called The 5 a.m. Club. Both of those books changed my life. The 5 a.m. Club more recently, okay, we're a work in progress, right? I'm day 52 on the 5 a.m. Club. Like I had a morning routine before. My wife's like, woohoo, but he goes to bed early and I have to take care with the kids, but she's amazing. But there's a cost to creating some new habits. Yeah. Does anybody want a new life? If so, say yes. Yeah. You're not going to get it doing what you've always done. You got to do some new things to get some new results in your life. Start today. Make a decision. Number 2, I leveled up my habits. Number 2, I leveled up my peer group. And Julie addressed this beautifully. Get around the dreamers. Not just the dreamers, but the doers. Get around some people that are flying, that are creating their dreams, that are doing the work, that aren't just talking about stuff or pointing fingers or blaming people. If you get around people that are blaming, guess what you're going to start doing?
Blaming.
If you get around people that are playing a victim, what are you going to become?
The victim.
But if you get around people that are changing the world, what are you going to do?
Change the world.
How many want to change the world? Change the people you associate with. I thought I was growing. I was doing great. I was in ministry for 20 years, changing lives, leading people for 20 years. And I got into a mastermind group because a friend invited me. And very quickly, it began to transform my life. It changed my mindset. It began to change my habits. It began to change my relationships, my physical health, all because every week for 1 hour, I put myself in an environment with people that were thinking at a whole nother level, ways I wasn't even thinking before. The end of that first year in the mastermind, my wife and I went to dinner right down the road at P.F. Chang's. Sitting at the table, I looked at my wife and I said, what was the highlight of the year? She paused for a moment. She looked back at me and she said, watching you change.
Wow. So good.
And thank you, but I say that it wasn't me so much as the decision that I made to put myself in a new environment. Some of you got some people that every time you're around them, they're draining you. How many got some people in your life right now that you get around them and you get negative, you get drained? You're like, oh my gosh. If they're family, love them, but limit your time. Yep. Can I be real with you?
Yep.
Quit making the excuse they're family, I got to be around them all the time. No, you don't.
That's right.
You have the power to choose, the power to change. If you are around negative people, you'll become negative. Love them, accept them, don't judge them, but don't spend all your time with them. Get around, how many got some people that raise you up every time you get around them? How many think you could spend some more time around those people? Right. Do it. Pursue them. If you're a business owner and you're at that place of making an investment to put yourself in that environment, even if you're not a business owner, pay to get in a mastermind. Become part of a mastermind. I lead masterminds. I'm going to probably start a group. If there's enough people interested, I'll start a new mastermind with people from this event. And every single week, you can be in an environment that's going to level you up. But it's not for everybody. But if you're ready to level up and make an investment, how many people are in one of my masterminds? I got a bunch of people that drove and flew in. You guys are amazing. So you can ask me about that. But level up your peer group. Get around the right people. Go to events. Miss from, I can't forget your name, but from North Carolina, Julia. This is the first event she's been to like this, she was telling me. And your life will never be the same. Not just because of tonight, but because of the decision you made. And now you're going to confront some things and begin to create some things and realize the power of environments like this. It's going to change your life. So level up your peer group. The last thing I'll say, and Doug touched on it and I'm done, is I leveled up through one-on-one coaching. Hey, have you guys heard the story of the Super Bowl championship team that won the Super Bowl without a coach? Has anybody heard it? Yeah, because it never happened. Championships are not won without coaches. Did you guys read the article about Tiger Woods, how he accomplished one of the greatest comebacks, arguably the greatest comeback in sports history, and he did it in complete isolation with nobody else's help? Y'all read that article? Because it didn't happen. If you want to be a champion, if you want to be the best, if you want to be world class, if you want to change the world at the level of world class people, you're not going to do it alone. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to pay for it. You can pursue mentors through books and podcasts. You can pursue people. All of you in this room have one person in your sphere of influence that you could pursue. Buy them coffee. Don't expect them to buy. Oh, geez. Buy them coffee. Buy them lunch. Put yourself in their proximity because proximity is power. You will be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right. Peer group, coaching, average of the 5 people. You got to get around people. And that's an essential component. So level up through, like Doug was talking about. What, you got 4 coaches? If you need a health coach, can I just tell you, if you need a health coach, you need to talk to these guys, talk to Julie. It's what they do. A bunch of you in here already are. If you're not a health coach in the room, then get one tonight. I mean, you're kind of out, like you're perfectly positioned here. It'll change your life. I mean, dozens of people I know that have gotten involved with these people in their program, and it's changed their life. If you need that help, what are you waiting on, right? But find the people that can serve you in those ways. Everybody close your eyes. Put your hands on your heart. Take a deep breath. Take another deep breath. Think of one awesome thing you're grateful for right now. Think of another awesome thing you're grateful for. Think of an unexpected blessing in your life. A coincidence that was a blessing that created a connection, something amazing. Think of a person in your life you're extremely grateful for right now. Think of another event that changed your life. You're so grateful for it. What I'm helping you do is get in a place of gratitude, a place where your heart and your mind can get in sync. And now I want you to say this statement, and I want you to fill in the blank, because you never leave the side of a decision without taking action. And so what I want you to get clarity on in this moment is the action that you need to take from what you've heard just so far, from what Doug shared, from what I shared. What's the action? Where do you need to take back your power? Where do you need to stop making excuses and playing the victim and begin to reverse the negative momentum, create massive positive momentum in your life? So from this place, fill in the blank. The action I need to take is, and see what your heart tells you. The action I need to take is. All right, you can open your eyes. Just quick raise of hands. How many got a clear action step that you know what you need to do? That's pretty good. Over half the room got a clear action step. Hey, write that down right now and do it. One more time on the count of 3, take back your power. 1, 2, 3, take it back.